Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mocha Says. Today, we're going to be reviewing Real Housewives of Rhode Island, Season 1, Episode 9. Let's get into it and see what Mocha has to say. All right, so, of course, Rosie and Kelsey just ended their argument. Kelsey hits the road, and Rosie is spraying her home with sage spray, protection spray, anywhere that Kelsey was. And then Kelsey's on the phone. She calls Liz. And she's telling her what happened. And she's like, I've only slept with this many guys in my life. And Rosie, she slept with 2 married men before. I've never slept with any married man in my life. She said she slept with the basketball coach who paid her off. And that's why she has her house. And then she slept with the man she was working with. And she ruined that marriage. I was like, geez. But she's like, yeah, she's accusing me of my ex paying off the judges so I could win the pageant. But really it's projection because the married man she slept with, that basketball coach, paid her off so that she wouldn't go and tell people. And that's why she has her house. I was like, okay, all right. I would love to hear more about this. And she says to Liz, she was like, I'm going to charge her for gas on send her a Venmo. I'm like, girl, Kelsey must be scrapping for pennies, honey, because isn't Rhode Island like 5 miles long and wide? Anyways, I'm like, she seems like she's scraping for pennies now that she has to be independent, which is crazy. Anyway, so Ashley and her husband, they go to a grocery store, sort of like a Costco kind of place. You buy things in bulk. And they're planning to have a trivia night, I believe, at the coffee shop. And so Rosie FaceTimes Ashley, and Rosie is telling her about everything that happened. And Ashley's like, wow, was it a joke when she said that? She was like, well, I didn't take it as a joke. She was like, no, I didn't take it as a joke. And she's like, I'm not going to trivia night, unfortunately, if Kelsey goes. And she's like, oh, dang. She was like, you can do what you want. Rosie's like, you can do what you want, but I'm not going. And so she just has to figure out what she has to do with that. We go to the beach and Rula and Alicia meet up. And then all of a sudden they run into like one of Joellen's neighbors, and Rula says that they're no longer friends. They were friends, but Joellen, being the messy person she is, ruined that relationship. And so Rula and Alicia are talking and walking on the beach, and Rula says she doesn't want to go to trivia night if Joellen's going to be there. She's working on herself. She's trying to be in Zen mode. She's trying to stay happy and healthy. And she feels like this situation has really dimmed her light and made her not be the positive person that she normally is. And she says her husband is usually like kissing her feet, kissing the ground she walks on. But she said it's hard to believe that he could betray her. And I'm like, girl, he already betrayed you once. I'm guessing she's saying it's hard to believe that he would be doing it again. Or maybe she's just trying to still trying to wrap her head around the whole situation. I don't know. But either way, she's trying to work on herself and stay positive. And then Alicia talks about how she has not told her about the video yet. She says in her confessional. And then they talk about finances. And, Alicia's like, at least you're financially secure and independent. If you break up with your husband, you can take care of yourself. Me, if my husband leaves me, I have nothing. And she's like, yeah, you should need to be working on something to bring in some income and start putting money away every week. And she was like, Alicia was like, I used to put away $10 a week. I'm like, girl, really? $10? Girl, these people are rich. I'm like, and she starts laughing, but I'm like, $10 is crazy. So Liz, Joe, Ellen, and Kelsey and their men's, they go to a restaurant to have dinner. It was so interesting. 2 of the men that were with, not Kelsey's boyfriend, but the other 2 men, and then Kelsey, they literally had the same or very, very similar plaid attire on. Her dress is plaid, is very close to the plaid that's on the men's blazers. Anyways, it was sort of weird, they were matching, but okay, so they all sit down, and yeah, they say the men, they hang out together on their own, but this time it's actually different because they're hanging out with the women and hanging out as couples. And Rosie called Joellen says, she's like, well, what happened with you and Rosie? To Kelsey, and Kelsey is like, oh, what do you know? And she's like, yeah, she called me. So Joellen is telling them what Rosie said, and then Kelsey gives her side of the story, and Joelle is just smiling. Like I bet she would have had some popcorn there because she's just smiling, taking it in. And yeah, so Kelsey says that she doesn't mind if Joelle or if Rosie goes. I keep getting their names confused. Oh my God. Kelsey doesn't mind if Rosie goes to trivia night. She said she's going to go whether or not. So she said, well, forget Rosie then. And yeah. And then Kelsey asked the whole table if it's normal for an ex to pay for her bills. And the guys say like they don't care. And like Liz's husband says when they first got together, her ex was sliding money under the door. Her boyfriend, he says that he doesn't really care. He understands the situation, but he would rather he not pay for her bills because it's not his responsibility. And Kelsey says that if he could have his way, Kelsey would have just moved in with him. But she said, no, I want to live by myself for a year, which, I mean, I think that's wise. Like, live by yourself. But yeah, she's like, I don't want to be homeless like Alicia. And then they talk about the whole Alicia being homeless thing. And Joe Ellen's husband grew up with Alicia, and he says he has no recollection of her ever being homeless. All right, so it is trivia night at the coffee shop, and yeah, both Kelsey and Rosie are going to come, but they're going to have them at different tables to try and like reduce the conflict. So the husband says if they start fighting, then he's going to kick them out. So Joellen comes, and I noticed Joe came and hugged her, and Liz and Ashley, and Rosie seemed a little annoyed with her. Like, it's just a side thing I noticed. But anyways, some of the ladies think that they seem to think that Rosie can't take a joke. They feel like Rosie is exaggerating, is maybe being too sensitive. And yeah, they just think that Kelsey was doing a funny joke on Rosie. So Joe Ellen is at the other table, and Alicia comes, and Joan's like, oh my gosh, telling Alicia the tea about Rosie and Kelsey and their drama. And Joellen just has like the biggest smile on her face. She's like so delighted to like have this drama to tell somebody about. Joellen is messy. That girl is messy. So anyways, to me, it was giving like Mean Girls, because they all try to go to Rosie and tell her like she's being extra sensitive. Like, it was a joke. Come on. She's like, no, it wasn't funny to me. And I think that Rosie is valid and say, hey, that wasn't funny. First of all, they were not to that point to where Kelsey can make that kind of joke. She overestimated their relationship at that point. No, it was bad judgment on Kelsey's part. And I think Rosie being upset, she has a legitimate reason to be upset about that, period. And I do feel like all the girls, they're like sort of giving like Mean Girl vibes, most of them, towards Rosie. That's what I'm sort of noticing. And I'm not really liking it, but okay. So they start arguing, Kelsey and Rosie. Oh, Kelsey shows up, and she has a crown and a sash on that says Miss Lampig. Okay, so they're all thinking it's funny. They're like, oh, it's a joke, lighten up, Rosie, it's so funny. Anyways, Rosie and Kelsey start arguing during this event, and oh my God, Ashley looks like she's about to explode inside. Like, her emotions, her eyes start watering, her eyeballs get big, and she's like, stop arguing, can we not argue? And she goes behind the counter to go talk to her husband who's working. He's like, look, just go in the back, calm down, go in the back. So clearly he knows how emotional she gets. I'm like, Ashley, she's an interesting character. I mean, she's sensitive, and I get it, I am too, but my gosh, the way she was being was very interesting. Like, her reaction to all the drama and arguing was interesting. So yeah, Liz gets under the table, and she starts laughing under the table while Rosie and Kelsey are arguing. And I'm like, this girl must be high on her edibles, because first of all, why are you under the table, and why are you laughing to yourself? But then Joelle and Ashley and somebody else joined her under the table. I don't know. It was just like, why are you even under the table? I didn't get it. They were just being silly. So yeah, Kelsey is just not Kelsey. Ashley is just like low-key having a breakdown again at the table. And they're just like, oh my gosh, she's getting emotional. So we're at Alicia's house and she has this whole like trifold presentation board with a display on it. It looks like a school presentation. And then she has a PowerPoint on a computer. And she has her daughter bring her husband in. She gives him this presentation of all of her good ideas for their pizza restaurant. And she pretty much does this to prep for the big ask of her getting more money from him, her having some kind of ownership in the restaurant in the business, because she has contributed a lot of ideas to its success. And yeah, just talking about how she feels like he might not trust her, and they're a partnership, so she should, she needs to get something. She shouldn't have to totally rely on him. And he agrees, like in the end, he agrees and says, yeah, and I could tell it was like hard for Alicia to like get through this and get the ask, but he agrees and says, yeah, 10% ownership, you can get that, write everything you want on this paper and blah, blah, blah. So I like that he said he was going to make that happen, because I was really side-eyeing that man for real, but yes, very nice. And then we go to Ashley's house, and she's FaceTiming with Rosie, and Rosie apologizes for the argument at trivia night. And she says that Rich has a Frank Sinatra, I think, performance coming up, and she wants to invite all the ladies except for Kelsey. She is not invited, but it's in Boston, about 45 minutes away from Rhode Island. So yeah, Ashley is looking forward to that. So they're doing a little montage. They're doing a little montage, and they come by Kelsey's house. This girl's putting the trash away. And she puts her whole bare foot in the trash to push it down so she can tie the bag closed and put it by the door. Disgusting. Like, I pushed my trash down as well, but the way I was like, yuck. Like, if I'm pushing the trash down, I would like take a bag, like maybe an empty chip bag or box, and use it as a barrier between my hand and the disgusting trash and push it down. I don't know. I thought that was this girl put her whole bare foot in there. I was like, girl, what? Anyways, that was gross to me. Okay. And then we go to Rosie and her husband. He's getting ready for his Frank Sinatra performance job. And yeah, they're just talking about how their ladies are going and like whatever drama. It's just like rehashing things that have already happened. So anyways, they're just talking, but her husband, he has like an aggressive energy. I feel like since this show has been airing, I don't know. I don't really like him too much. I don't know the man, but it's just his like aggressive energy. I feel like he has aggressive energy. Anyways, so we go over to Alicia's house. Joellen and Liz show up. Oh, wait, hold on. No, they go to Joellen's house. Alicia and Liz show up at Joellen's house. And they're getting in the car. They're going to ride together to this Frank Sinatra thing in Boston. And Joe brings a whole charcuterie board in the car. And on flat wood. It has no kind of like curve on the ends to hold all the food inside the tray. I'm like, really? Okay. And then they have like this full drink with no top on it. I'm just like, okay, that doesn't seem wise. And it looks like a mess waiting to happen. They get in the car, they start driving, and they hit a bump, and Joellen her drink splashes and spills on the charcuterie board. I'm like, okay. Anyways, so they start talking about Alicia and her upbringing, and this whole homeless thing comes up again. And they show a video of Alicia talking to her mom, and her mom's like, I mean, we were going house to house to house. She was like, he took our home away, and yeah, I chose the wrong man. But her mom confirmed, she said like they were going house to house. She didn't use the word homeless, but she said they were going house to house, which sounds like you're homeless to me. There are levels to homelessness, if you ask me. And I think Alicia, she counts as someone who was homeless. She wasn't in the worst predicament of homelessness, but she was homeless. She didn't have her own home. I've also been in that situation with my family. Like we lived in apartments and they caught on fire. And so literally we had to move out. We stayed with, I think, like a distant cousin of ours for a little bit, a few days. And then we had another like family. They had a huge house and they let us stay with them for a couple of months while my parents were like getting everything together to buy a house that we moved into. But during that time, I would say we were homeless, but I mean, I wasn't on the street. You feel me? Like I was in a warm home. I had a room, but it just wasn't our home. So yeah, I understand what Alicia's saying, but Alicia and Liz get into it because Liz is like, you are trying to dissect what I'm saying because you're trying to have like a ego boost. You're trying to prove me wrong to boost your ego. And you need to stop because it's invalidating. And I agree with Alicia on this. It is invalidating the way Liz keeps bringing it up and they keep trying to say that she wasn't homeless. Like she just wasn't in the worst situation of homelessness. Okay. Her and her mother did not have a home of their own. They moved into houses where people shared their home with them, but it wasn't their home to call their own and do their own with. So yeah, they're getting into it, and I'm with Liz on this. Like, I'm with Alicia on this. Liz needs to like calm down with it. Let's let Liz have it. You're invalidating her feelings and everything she went through, which was huge and had a big effect on her. And her mom even confirms that it was a horrible situation. And her mom apologized in that clip they showed. She apologized to Alicia. She was like, "I'm so sorry. I got with the wrong man." Her father. That's crazy. So Alicia starts crying, like serious big fat tears. She isn't boohooing, but she's like silent crying, but she's like really crying. She's hurt. And I understand why she's hurt. It totally makes sense to me with the trauma with her dad abandoning her and her mother taking away their home. That was a big thing that affected her in her childhood and her mom. And she's like, if I didn't have my grandparents, who knows where we would have lived? Thank God we had our grandparents. We were able to move into their home. And Joelle is in the back trying to like be the peacemaker, and it's like pissing Liz off. She is like, oh my gosh, you're the voice of reason now. And Joe's like, oh. And in Liz's confessional, she's like, just the other day, Joe was talking mess. She's so fake, phony, and disingenuous. And Liz says she's trying to protect Alicia's mom and Alicia's family. Of course, Liz has known Alicia all her life and she's very close with her family. But let Alicia worry about that. Like, you know them, but you don't know how they're going to feel about that. Like, I don't feel confident that her mom would have a problem with how Alicia is telling this story just based on that clip that they showed with Alicia talking to her mom. And she said they were going house to house and confirmed that it was a horrible situation for her and apologized to her about what she had to endure during their childhood. So, due to her father. So I just think Liz needs to get out of it and let Alicia do her thing. She's grown. She can say what she wants, and she can recall the stories of her childhood, how she remembers them, and how they have affected her. And Liz needs to stop trying to police the way she expresses herself and tells the stories of her childhood. But Liz is pissed. Alicia is crying, silent, big fat tears in the car. She has put her sunglasses on now. And yeah, I mean, they end the episode. The last words of the episode is Joe Ellen telling Alicia, it's okay, eat your crackers. I was like, really, Joe Ellen. But anyways, looking forward to seeing the next episode. Looks like they're going to be acting a fool at the fake Sinatra impersonation show. But yeah, this was a good episode. It was a good episode. They need to back off Alicia and they need to stop being mean girls to Rosie. Anyways, let me know your thoughts and comments down below. And leave a comment, like, subscribe. And I will see you all next time. Thank you. Bye.